1953, the 57th FIG was inactivated and the three squadrons F-94S at Elmendorf AFB became part of the 10th Air Division. Both the 449th FIS and the 57th FIG deployed the F-94S to advance airfields at Marks AFB, near Nome, along with King Salmon Airport and Galena AFB, where it stood alert to respond to GCI intruder alerts for unknown aircraft detected intruding on Alaskan airspace. The F-82Hs at LAD were retired in the summer of 1953 when, due to lack of logistics support, the aircraft became too unreliable to keep in the air. The 449th flew the F-94 until F-94BS became available as hand-me-downs from Elmendorf AFB. The 57th FIG was inactivated, replaced by the 10th Air Division. There, the 10th AD received new North American F-86D Sabre interceptors. The 449th at LAD sent their F-94s back to the Connors and Air National Guard service. By the end of 1954, it also was being re-equipped with F-86DS, with the last of the Starfires also being sent to the Air National Guard. Northeast Air Command, edit. Northeast Air Command, NEC, was a command formed in 1950 to administer US-controlled bases in the maritime provinces of Canada, that were under long-term lease going back to World War II. It was responsible for the defense of the northern approaches to North America and also to support transient aircraft of MATS and SAC, all of which came under the collective command and control of the 64th Air Division. During 1952, F-94Bs were sent to the 59th Fighter Interceptor Squadron at Goose AFB, Labrador from Otis AFB, Massachusetts. Furthermore, a detachment of the 59th was sent to Thule Air Base, Greenland, to provide air defense of the area, although it was still under construction to back up the DU line. Thule was a staging base at the time for the SAC B-36 Peacemaker intercontinental bomber, which would proceed from there in wartime to targets in the Soviet Union using the Great Circle route over the North Pole. This was both the first F-89 squadron assigned to Canada and also the first squadron assigned to NEC. After the end of the Korean War, the 319th FIS, which was deployed from ADC to Japan in 1952, was transferred to NEC in June 1953 and replaced the detachment of the 59th FIS at Thule. The third and last F-94 squadron assigned to NEC was the 61st Fighter Interceptor Squadron, which moved from Selfridge AFB, Michigan to Ernest Harmon AFB, Newfoundland in August 1953. Beginning in 1954, and continuing until 1957, the Starfires of NEC were slowly replaced with versions of the F-89 Scorpion, although the Northrop Interceptor didn't fully replace the Starfires until the 318th Fighter Interceptor Squadron left Thule in April 1957. Keflavik Airport, Iceland, although controlled by Military Air Transport Service, MATS, received F-94Bs as part of the 82D Fighter Interceptor Squadron in April 1953. It provided air defense of Iceland until being relieved in October 1954 when it was reassigned to Presque Isle AFB, Maine. The Starfires were replaced by the 57th FIS and F-89C Scorpions. Retirement, edit. Beginning in mid-1954, the F-94 A/B models were gradually replaced in the active duty Air Force's inventory by a combination of the Northrop F-89C/D Scorpion and the North American F-86D Sabre interceptors. Withdrawn aircraft were typically sent to various Air National Guard, ANG, units where they replaced F-80C Shooting Stars and F-51D/H Mustangs, which in most cases marked the end of operational use for the venerable Mustang in United States military service. Prior to being delivered to the ANG, the F-94s were sent to Lockheed, where they received modifications to render them equivalent to F-94B standards, after which they entered use with the ANG. During the late 1950s, F-94Cs were progressively transferred across to the ANG as well, where they initially supplemented and eventually replaced the F-94A/B models. At the height of operations, a total of 22 ANG fighter interceptor squadrons were equipped with Starfires. During November 1957, the final F-94C was retired by the active duty Air Force, the last examples being operated by the 319th Fighter Interceptor Squadron at Bunker Hill Air Force Base, Indiana, before it converted to the F-89J Scorpion Interceptor. The last F-94C Starfires were phased out of ANG service by the 179th Fighter Interceptor Squadron at the Duluth Municipal Airport, Minnesota during the summer of 1959 when it converted to the F-89J Scorpion, the last aircraft being sent to AMOC in December 1959. Variants, edit. YF-94 TF-80CS converted into YF-94 prototypes, 2 built. F-94 Initial production version, 109 built. YF-94B 1 F-94 modified on the production line with new flight director, modified hydraulic systems, and 2 enlarged wingtip tanks. F-94B Production model based on YF-94B, 355 built. YF-94C F-94BS modified with Pratt & Whitney J48 engine, leading edge rocket pods, and swept tailplane, originally designated YF-97O, 2 modified. F-94C Starfire Production version of the YF-94C with longer nose, gun armament replaced with nose-mounted rockets, and provision for under-fuselage JATO rockets, originally designated F-97O, 387 built. F-94C Test aircraft for proposed aerial reconnaissance variant. YF-94D Prototype single-seat close support fighter version based on the F-94C, one partly built but construction was abandoned when program was cancelled. F-94D Production version of the YF-94D, 112 on order cancelled, none built. YF-97O Original designation of the YF-94C. F-97O Original designation of the F-94C. Operators, edit. United States. C. F-94 Starfire units of the United States Air Force. 1 United States Air Force. 2 Air National Guard. Aircraft on display, edit. YF-94 48 to 356 Air Force Flight Test Museum at Edwards Air Force Base in California. Formerly used as a gate guard at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas, currently in storage on Edwards AFB awaiting restoration and future display. F-94 0 to 80,645 Mountain View, Missouri, on view in Veterans Park. 49 to 2,498 National Museum of the United States Air Force at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio. It was transferred from active inventory to the museum in May 1957. 49 to 2,517 Burlington Air National Guard Base at Burlington International Airport in Burlington, Vermont. Formerly displayed at the Pima Air and Space Museum adjacent to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. YF-97C/F-94C 50-0877 stored for future display at Hancock Field Air National Guard Base, Syracuse, New York. 50-0980 National Museum of the United States Air Force at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base near Dayton, Ohio. It is displayed as 50-1054. 50-1006 Peterson Air and Space Museum at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs, Colorado. 51-5576 American Legion Post 243 at Bessemer City, North Carolina. 51-5605 North Dakota Air National Guard at Fargo Air National Guard Base, Hector International Airport, Fargo, North Dakota. Was moved from Duluth, Minnesota Memorial Park in October 1996. In Duluth from May 1960 to October 1996 marked as AFSA. Number 51-3556. 51-5623 Pima Air and Space Museum adjacent to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. 51-5671 Erie County Memorial Gardens Cemetery at Erie, Pennsylvania. It was first put on display in 1971. It was refurbished in 2005 and repainted again in 2021. 51-13,563 Minnesota Air National Guard Museum at Minneapolis, Minnesota. 51-13,570 American Legion Post 247 at the Iron World Discovery Center in Chisholm, Minnesota. 51-13,575 Evergreen Aviation and Space Museum in McMinnville, Oregon. It was previously on display at the New England Air Museum in Windsor Locks, Connecticut and moved to Evergreen in 2010. Specifications: F-94C Starfire, edit. Data from IF Flying Review. General characteristics. 1 crew, 2 length, 44 feet 6 in, 13.56 m. 3 wingspan, 42 feet 5 in, 12.93 m. 4 height, 14 feet 11 in, 4.55 m. 5 wing area, 232.8 square feet, 21.63 m. 6 empty weight, 12,708 pound, 5,764 kilograms. 7 gross weight, 18,300 pound, 8,301 kilograms. 8 max takeoff weight, 24,184 pound, 10,970 kilograms. 9 power plant, 1 Pratt & Whitney J48P5 centrifugal flow turbojet engine, 6,350 lbf, 28.2 kN, thrust dry, 8,750 lbf, 38.9 kN, with afterburner. Performance. 1 maximum speed, 640 miles per hour, 1,030 kilometers per hour, 560 kN. 2 maximum speed, Mach 0.84. 3 range, 805 mi, 1,296 kilometers, 700 mi. 4 ferry range, 1,275 mi, 2,052 kilometers, 1,108 mi. 5 service ceiling, 51,400 feet, 15,700 m. 6 rate of climb, 7,980 foot /min, 40.5 m /s. 7 wing loading, 78.6 pound /square feet, 384 kilogram /m. 8 thrust forward/weight, 0.48. Armament. 1 rockets, 24 or 48 2.75 in, 70 mm, Mk4 forward/Mk40 folding fin aerial rockets. Avionics. 1 and forward/APG-40 radar. See also, edit. Related development. 1 Lockheed F-80 Shooting Star. 2 Lockheed T-33 Shooting Star. Aircraft of comparable role, configuration, and era. 1 Gloucester Meteor, Armstrong Whitworth Meteor NF11.12.13.14. 2 North American F-86D Sabre. 3 McDonnell F-2H Banshee. 4 Northrop F-89 Scorpion. 5 Yakov Yak-25. Related lists. 1 List of fighter aircraft. 2 List of Lockheed aircraft. 3 List of military aircraft of the United States. References, edit.